A 5-minute call on behalf of the National Party. Paul Foster-Bell.
E te mana whakawā tuarua tēnā koe, tēnā koutou katoa e ngā mema o te whare. Sir, I take pleasure in speaking in support of the Prime Minister's statement in this debate on his statement in the House. I'll be sharing my call with my colleague Ian McKelvey, the Honourable Member for the Rangitikei. So I plan to cover the town issues and I'll leave it to Mr McKelvey to cover the country. Sir, here in Wellington, we've enjoyed a wonderful summer. Not only has the weather been superb and allowed us to enjoy some great cricket on display, but we've had some extraordinary events here. The hotel beds have been full. In fact, we've had a record year for tourism in Wellington, and everything from that Sir Peter Jackson Gallipoli exhibit at Te Papa through to the Great War exhibition at the National War Memorial Museum. And I want to pay tribute to Chris Finlayson and the input he had into that wonderful attraction, have been awash with tourists and visitors spending their money here in the capital. Similarly, Weta Workshop, when I had some relatives staying over the summer and decided to take them out to Weta to see the Thunderbirds Are Go exhibit, where they can see the sets used to recreate that iconic 1960s TV series. That also enjoyed large numbers of visitors. So, sir, Wellington has benefited from record tourist numbers. We've also seen significant government investment into the capital, and I'd point to the ICT graduate school that will upskill our workforce with those modern technical capabilities that they need to be able to earn those good incomes. That will be implemented here in Wellington, hosted by Victoria University over the coming year. Sir, if I can turn to another issue, and that's that this is the 30th anniversary, this year is the 30th anniversary of the legalisation of homosexuality in New Zealand. And I want to put on record that I enjoy working cross-party with colleagues, including the member who just resumed her seat. We will be hosting an event here at Parliament on Saturday, which kicks off Pride Week here in Wellington. And I'm looking forward to doing that. But later on in this year, there will be events, I think, on the parliamentary precinct to commemorate the decriminalisation, which was a significant event in New Zealand's history. And I'm proud to be a member of a government which also looks out for the interests of all members of our community, not just the majority. So I had an interesting discussion recently with a constituent here around refugees, and I'd point to in the Prime Minister's statement his comments around the threat posed by ISIS, but also the refugee problem that the world is facing. This person who I was chatting with was a Polish migrant, one of the Pahiatua Poles, an orphan who, after her family was treated horrendously by the Soviets, she and her mother were deported to a gulag in Siberia and then came to New Zealand via Iran, actually, of all places. They stopped there for a few years on their way to New Zealand. And in this discussion with this constituent, a very clear point came across. She was pointing out, actually, that the last thing that the refugees who are coming to New Zealand need is pity. Pity is not what will help them to integrate into our community. It's not what will help them to get jobs, to become educated, and to make a contribution to their new home, New Zealand. So I'm proud to be part of a government where there will be an additional number of refugees accepted into New Zealand, but that's been done in a controlled way, unlike what we're seeing in Europe, where we will have the health facilities, the transport, the housing, the social development and educational services in place to make sure those people are properly looked after. And I look at the approach taken by some of the parties in this House and some of the lobbyists in the community which are promoting either what I would describe as a hard-hearted approach, that is to reject all, even those who are fleeing from some of the worst atrocities in the world, fleeing for their very lives, or the soft-headed approach where we want to open up the doors in such a way that we would take numbers that we're not able to properly support. So I'm proud to be part of a government which is actually taking the right course of action, which will be looking after those who are escaping from real danger, but we're not opening the floodgates to New Zealand. Sir, I fully commend the Prime Minister's statement to the House.